All right, hey, it's Tuesday, it's noon, it's us, it's me and Claudia. It's Good Health by Claudia podcast with me, Denny Schaefer. This is a production of Denny Radio. Of course, Claudia is our star. It is episode number 124. Woo! 124. We are very exciting. Today, we're not going to probably show you many products. We're going to talk about products. We're going to talk about what somebody's trying to do in the state of Ohio.
Right.
They're trying to change the rules and change the laws.
So
they're trying to restrict us from exercising our rights. Okay. This is going to be a different podcast, so people need to know that from the outset. But it's a very important one because if you have, teenage kids, grandkids, or, whatever, this is very important. Claudia, I'll let you take it because it looks like you're ready to talk about Ohio House Bill 943.
Right. So today we have Neil on, my dear friend Neil Levin from NOW Foods.
Which I'm a big fan of NOW Foods, people. Save my prostate. Now tell them what we're going to do, and then I'll bring Neil on.
So we're going to talk about, there's currently some legislation that was introduced in Ohio, and it is to not allow people under 18 to purchase certain supplements. So,
okay. With that in mind, from NOW Foods, it's Neil Levin back on the show once again. Neil, welcome back to our podcast.
Yay. My pal. He's such my pal.
Yeah.
So,
okay. You and your pal, let's talk about this because this gets me fired up that this kind of stuff is going on because we know all the poison that's allowed to enter the bodies of our young people, and it's destroying minds. And we have, in the history of man, we have more anxiety. We have kids under 18 taking antidepressants. We have nobody watching them as like, hey, maybe it's all that pop you're drinking or soda.
Exactly.
The Monster drinks, the Red Bull. Red Bull has wings. They make it cute, but what they're not telling you is it's poison.
Well, he's all wound up today, Neil.
I'm fired up. I'm fired up about this stuff. When the government gets involved and we're looking to government to fix our problems, that's when they get worse.
That's when they get,
Anyway.
All right, Neil, let's talk about it.
All right. Well, the nanny state's at it again. They think that they can regulate what we put in our bodies, and this is actually a misguided attempt by the medical community at Harvard University.
Yep.
They've got a campaign to go state by state to introduce bills into law that will regulate the sale of dietary supplements to minors, because they think that if green tea or coffee is put in a capsule or other things that help people with energy and helping their health, that somehow they become poison because they're now in a capsule instead of a cup. And it's illogical when you think about it that way. It doesn't make any sense. And they don't have any real data to show that the products that they're targeting are actually causing the problems. This is a theory that they're already enacted in law in New York State. And in New York, a retailer cannot sell a number of products to anyone under the age of 18 without carding them. And if they do, there could be $1,000 per item fine on the store. Also, there's a requirement that if you ship or deliver it to a household, that the person receiving it has to be over 18 and be carded and show ID. So, maybe some of you are used to getting mail order medications or something where you have to show an ID to get it.
Right.
It's going to be like that for dietary supplements now, if the bill passes.
Yeah, it's very sad. And it's what our industry has been up against for years and years and years. We're always under attack by, pharma. But at any rate, let's talk about what products are they targeting right now?
Well, first of all, let me just say it sounds reasonable to say we're going to protect children.
Yes.
It sounds reasonable to say that unscrupulous people are trying to get people to take things that are harming them. They're not looking at the right things. They don't have evidence. These are the products at risk. Do you really think that teenagers are looking to go to a health food store and buy substances like creatine and green tea capsules and things that help the liver? that these are the things that they're buying for these crazy diets that are on TikTok? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah. No,
They're targeting the wrong things.
exactly.
So this is Jody Salvo and Rachel Baker in the state legislature that introduced it in the House. It's in the House Children and Human Services Committee now. So it's got to go through committee and then go to the House and Senate. It has not been introduced in the Senate yet. So this is something that we do want to control. And anything that contains creatine, and creatine is used by a lot of teen athletes as a safe thing to help them with energy and muscle.
Yes.
You see a lot of people in high school sports. They might be going to Ohio State or some other university later, and they're trying to be athletes.
Right.
A lot of them are using creatine and they're not having these problems. Creatine is not a stimulant. Green tea extract, Garcinia cambogia, which helps you metabolize fats. Green coffee bean extract. Coffee beans in capsules are going to be regulated. They're not going to regulate Starbucks. They're not going to regulate 7-Eleven. They're not going to get any of these places, Dunkin' Donuts. They're going to regulate the capsules because they look like drugs. They're not drugs, but they look like drugs. We can regulate them and nobody's going to care. But here it gets beyond that. They're going to give authority to the state government to regulate anything that even implies that the product will modify, maintain, or reduce body weight, body fat, appetite, metabolism, or how nutrients are metabolized. Anything that can even maintain or increase muscle strength. This is pretty general, right? And even if it's not obvious, if there's a sign, if there's a category, if there's a placement in the store, if there's a placement in an ad with products that they consider to be any of these things that will do that, the products that don't claim to do this will still be tagged as being the same category and restricted from sales.
That's awful.
Grouping them in a display advertising website area of the store, or otherwise representing it for weight loss or muscle building. Now, muscle building is not something that's that crazy. Protein is used for muscle building.
Well, I was going to say, under that definition, they could eventually go after protein powders, that kids, minors shouldn't be drinking protein powders. Well, a lot of them are into sports. Of course they're drinking protein. We want them drinking that instead of all the jacked up drinks out there that they can buy everywhere in every drugstore, gas station. They're so off on this. It's very sad.
So imagine there's a picture of a protein powder and your kid isn't eating well. Teenagers don't always eat well. And you say, you need more protein. You're not eating enough protein. What if that protein powder has a picture of a muscle on it or an athletic looking person? That's now could be classified by the state as one of these products you can't sell to a teenager just because of a picture on the label showing somebody who's fit is enough.
So
under
what
this
do you
law.
think is the real reason they're pushing this?
Well, who's behind it? There's got to be an industry that's behind this.
Well, it's the medical community,
Right.
and these are the same radical doctors at Harvard that have pushed all these gender changing things and all these other radical ideas. They now have a new radical idea that dietary supplements are even legitimate ones are somehow responsible for all the fad diets and kids hurting themselves by depriving themselves of nutrition. And instead of letting them get the nutrients,
Right.
they want to restrict them because they're conflicting with Ozempic and all these other things
Awful.
that the pharmaceutical companies want to sell.
Right.
That the doctors understand more or less, though they don't yet understand all the side effects and repercussions of these changes to the body. The long-term changes are still starting to come out and some of the side effects, but they believe in the drugs, and the drugs are regulated because because they're restricted for sale by doctors and pharmacists or over the counter as OTC drugs. So the things that aren't regulated that way, they call unregulated.
Right.
Even though there's tons of federal regulations, there's hundreds of pages of regulations in the Code of Federal Regulations talking about everything you have to say on a label, including the placement of specific parts, the size of the text on there. I know a lot of us say the printing on the labels are too small, but they are actually strictly regulated by the FDA, and what components have to be on the label, what you have to disclose, all the statements you have to put on there.
Yep.
You know, they tell you what to put on a label, but if you put a picture of somebody and they got a big muscle, or somebody who looks really fit or slender, all of a sudden it's some kind of drug according to the state, because Harvard Medical says it is. These it's not even a clinic, but it's these advocacy people in the medical department at Harvard.
Well, I was thinking I want to call Harvard and get one of these guys on the show. And,
yeah, good luck with that.
And I want to see why they're doing this. I would love to interview them. And if I can get somebody, I'd love to have you back for that interview.
Yeah, and we have had some industry associations testify in state legislatures and committees about this. And when they challenge the people introducing the bills, these state legislators are not bad people. They think they're doing something good. These prestigious doctors at this prestigious university have told them this is a problem and they could solve it and save the children. It sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But it literally is a no-brainer.
Right. Exactly. Right. Well, and you look at what kids are actually ingesting every day.
Yeah.
And aspartame and all this junk that doesn't belong in the human body. Why aren't they focusing on that? Why are they're always going after God-given herbs? I think it's shameful. I think it's awful. And I keep the faith that it's all going to change, because, you know, as I said in the beginning, our industry has been under these kind of ridiculous attacks for years. And it's very sad. And they're always looking at us when they should be looking at the other way where the problem's coming from.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, these aren't steroids.
Right.
These aren't stimulants we're talking about. I mean, green tea and coffee are stimulants, but they're legal and everyone uses them. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Why, if you put them in a capsule, how are they different?
Well, you brought up one of those monster drinks. How much caffeine is in that?
I have no idea.
I don't know, but because I've never looked at one, bought one, want one. I don't want nothing. I don't want anything to do with it. But when you look at some of these drinks out there, I think they're loaded with caffeine. So,
yeah, they are.
Yeah. So, okay. When was this legislation introduced?
This was just introduced in
a couple weeks ago or something.
Earlier this month.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. 160 milligrams of caffeine per 16-ounce can.
There you go.
For a monster drink.
Well, that's the problem.
That is amounts vary from 140 to 300 milligrams per drink.
Yep.
And by the way, green tea extract does not contain a significant amount of caffeine.
Exactly.
You might get 1 or 2 milligrams. But a cup of coffee is about 40 milligrams. A cup, not a giant thing, of coffee is about 120 milligrams. It varies by how it's brewed, but we're talking 1% of that. A cup of coffee in coffee bean extract has virtually no caffeine.
Right.
Green tea extract has virtually no caffeine. Yet these are considered somehow stimulants that are going to affect people. They work from their polyphenols. Their antioxidants are the effective part that helps you burn fat. That's not a dangerous thing.
So is there a lobbyist group in Columbus that is lobbying for this to fail? Is there a health food lobby group in Columbus and in different states that are saying, hey, this is bogus?
Well,
it's so new. I don't know that anyone's actively.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Lobbyists cost money. People would have to put money in. And so the best thing you can do, that's why I put it up there, Ohio House Bill 943, You got to contact your state rep in the state house and say, hey, are you aware of House Bill 943 and what are your thoughts on it? Because this is wrong.
Why is putting coffee or tea in a capsule without caffeine somehow more dangerous than drinking a cup of coffee or tea?
Right.
Why is building muscles somehow considered dangerous when so many of us would fail any physical fitness test and need to build muscle with things that are naturally occurring, not these artificial things like steroids and stimulants?
Yeah. Well, if there was sugar in a capsule, they wouldn't interfere with that. They'd be telling the kids to take it. Sugar, sugar, sugar. That's a stimulant. That's what they should be focusing on. But at any rate, it would be wonderful for people to call their rep at the Ohio State House and let's get some conversation going on this, because
that's how you do it. I mean, they don't want to hear from constituents in a negative way. You just ask them flat out, because I've done this before over the years. Which way you voting?
Yeah.
Which way you voting? I want to know, because this, my vote depends on how you vote.
Well, and Neil, we've both been, he goes to Washington every year. I've been there several years. He's gone for many, many years to lobby legislators in Washington. We lobby them, go to Columbus and lobby them there, educate them. So
let's go. Let's road trip it.
We have to start doing some education, because here's the problem. If this were to pass, Neil, didn't you tell me that they could start putting other things under this law if it passed into law, that they could?
Yeah, it's up to the state. It authorizes the state to name their own products using the general, very vague criteria of this law. Anything, and they could add anything at any time, even if it's not on the list. They could charge you because you put this protein powder with a picture of a muscle on it next to another one that somebody bought. That other one's now guilty of guilt by association, I guess you would call it.
Yes.
There's no other word to term it. It's so vague, it's ridiculous. And here's another possible repercussion that nobody's thinking about. If a store is worried about this, they're going to either stop selling all of these products, or they're going to segregate them in a section of the store where you have to talk to a manager. That's actually the law in New York State does require that. That only authorized people in the store, like managers and assistant managers, can release them from locked cases or behind the counter or the back room. It's like you have to go to a pharmacist to get certain things behind the counter. Mm-hmm. These things would probably have to be sold behind the counter, because is a cashier really going to be paying attention to this unless something flags them on a register?
Right. So say it again, the legislators that introduced this bill.
Yeah, the legislators who introduced this bill, there's two of them.
So everybody knows.
And the two of them are Jody Salvo and Rachel B. Baker.
The best thing they can do,
that information out.
Okay, but
I'm sure they're well intentioned.
Yeah. Right.
They just have no clue at the bill that they've been handed by these lobbyists from this medical group.
Right.
What it contains, what it intends, how it's going to affect retailers in the store, how it's going to in the state, how it's going to affect consumers,
how it's going to affect all these young athletes that are looking for safe ways to, play sports and have more energy. And what's wrong with building bigger? I don't understand. What is wrong with having healthy, strong muscles?
What's wrong with maintaining muscles? What's wrong with maintaining weight?
Right.
That's targeted here specifically.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we started this conversation, because it's a very important one.
It is. And the best thing people can do that are watching, first off, share the podcast.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't know who your rep is, I guarantee you, if you Google who is my state rep and you put in your zip code or your address, it'll come up. And let me tell you, they don't like to create waves, because, it's an election year, and they will listen. They have somebody that will listen, and just ask them, how does my rep feel about, House Bill 943?
Yep.
And find out.
And remember, when you talk to a legislator, everybody be respectful, because a lot of times they don't realize, like Neil has said, the full dynamics of what they're
Right.
being presented through lobbying groups. So always be respectful. You don't want to yell. You don't want to call them names. You have simple, intelligent conversations.
Right.
And, but this is something that's very, very important, because if they're going state by state, you know, there's an agenda to push it across the country. And that could be a very, very serious thing, because they never stop. There's always this push to keep pulling supplements away from people, off the market, going, you know, Neil, this reminds me of the ephedra issue quite a bit.
Yes, there was no evidence ephedra killed anyone. There were a handful of deaths from people using synthetic ephedrine.
Yes.
Not the herb ephedra. Ephedra had 100 years of clinical studies in medical journals with no deaths.
Yep.
But that was the time when they were pulling the ephedrine products and pseudoephedrine and putting them behind counters because people were shoplifting them and turning them into meth.
Right.
And ephedra, which was not strong enough to do that, was not concentrated enough to do that, got targeted by the same thing.
Yes.
And it went to the Supreme Court. And they said that the federal agencies had deference in terms of expertise, which has now been overturned in the last year. That
Really?
doctrine of deference to federal agencies has been overturned. Theoretically, somebody could come back and say, I'm going to bring ephedra back, because that whole thing was based on a now overturned precedent. Now, you can find your representative by going to ohiohouse.gov and typing in your address.
Yes.
And it will show you your representative. If you know a state senator or have any contact, warn them that this might be coming. But this is now bills in California has passed the legislature and is on the governor's desk. It's bills in Massachusetts, in Michigan. There's an Illinois. There's a few states on the East Coast that have bills like this. It's mostly on the two coasts, and in the Midwest where this has gone so far.
Yeah. Well, it's getting too far. It shouldn't have even started, but here we are. So, you know, this is where this is where our power comes in. Speaking up, contacting the legislators, having a conversation with them. I'm going to be calling several.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You never know. Maybe I'll go to Columbus and
I'm going with you.
People.
We're going to Columbus, going to shake it up.
So
you were just in Columbus.
That's true.
Right.
All right. Anything else for Neil?
Neil, anything else to go over?
No, I mean, there's always these kind of things going on.
Yes.
One issue is that there's it puts people at risk to take away their healthier alternatives under the pretext that they're harmful.
Right.
When the obvious things causing harm are something else. They did that, like you said, with ephedra. Let's blame ephedra when none of the deaths or injuries were associated with ephedra itself. Right. Just with synthetic versions of it that are highly concentrated and often mixed with high doses of caffeine.
Yeah.
People who are trying to like exercise with a heat factor over 100 degrees and depriving themselves of water to try to make weight classes and all this other stuff. Yeah. These other things were never considered because it was like, let's just ban this supplement and all the over-the-counter drugs are still sold. We'll just put them behind the counter. Well, let the pharmacists sell it.
So they keep the dangerous stuff on the shelves.
Yeah.
And they pull the safe stuff. And anyway, the whole thing is bizarre. And the whole thing is very bizarre. I mean, even though we're not actually, this podcast is not about ephedra, but we're using it as an example. Ephedra has been documented, it's a Chinese herb. It's been documented 5,000 years for its benefits.
100 years of medical studies, 0 deaths.
Yeah. Yep. So, and the fact that whoever this group is pushing this legislation without having any basis for doing it. This is the big concern. So the whole thing is very concerning, but to go after something where What are they standing on? Where's the harm? What are they saying? I mean, we have, high school kids that come in. We sell a lot of protein powder. The parents want them to be on it. They want to be on it. We've never seen anyone have an issue with creatine when it's used properly. So the whole thing is very concerning, and that's why it was important to talk about it today. So
thank you for coming on, Neil. As always,
Neil.
Great info.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking right now to see if there's a dietary supplement fact sheet on creatine from the NIH. And there's actually something from the Department of Defense that's listed on the government webpage. What are the possible side effects of creatine? Intestinal upset, bloating, muscle cramping, headache. The most commonly reported side effect is weight gain, which is kind of what people are using it for, to build muscle.
Yep.
And while there are individual reports of kidney injury, dehydration, or heat index, none of these have been confirmed through research.
Yeah.
It's possible that improper dosing, for example, taking too much, or contamination with other substances such as drugs, could contribute to these adverse events. To reduce risk, look for products that have been third-party certified.
Yeah.
This is on the NIH website.
Yes.
They say that's not an issue. Why
Right.
does Harvard Medical Health Group think there is?
Yeah.
Is it the easy fruit they can go after? They know they can't pull the real products?
Right. Well, that's why I think it's, we should have a conversation with this group.
I guarantee you they're not going to go on.
No.
But hey,
They've already been
no.
confronted at state legislatures and have
Yeah.
not changed their tune. They're still reintroducing this bill around the country.
Yeah.
They don't care. Their mind's made up. Don't confuse me with the facts.
Yeah.
If the NIH isn't enough to convince them, what is it?
Right.
Good point.
And
Right.
the Department of Defense. Operation Supplement Safety, Department of Defense.
And the only person we've ever had as a customer that had an issue with creatine, he was on a lot of meds, and he was on meds that were known to damage the kidneys. So supplements are always getting blamed for everything. Remember, everybody, supplements are the safe way to go. So that's the moral of the story.
Exactly. So, Neil, thanks for joining us as always, my man.
I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too. Take care, my friend.
All right.
See ya.
Talk to you soon.
Oh, that was awesome. All right. Get a hold of your state rep. That's how you stop this train, people. Yeah. Stop the train. All right, Claudia. Share. This is a very important podcast, so please share it. Claudia, like always, give you the last word.
Well, it's always been for myself growing up in this industry. Supplementation is not just about health. It's about our freedom. It's a freedom issue. And I hope that people can see it as that, because we're being force fed toxins all day long. And everyone knows all this stuff is coming out, what's in the food supply. So we're being force fed junk, but they always want to go after God-given things. And remember, not every plant on the planet is meant to be ingested, but there's thousands that have been documented for thousands of years for their benefit, their safety, and what they do for human health. So when we talk about this issue, it's always important to remember that the herbs that have been used over thousands of years, of course they're safe. Of course they're wonderful. We're still around because of them. So if you want to get involved, we'll get something going at the store. Maybe we can put a link right on the podcast.
We can do that.
Yeah, we'll put a link. Anyway, appreciate everybody tuning in. And remember, protect your freedom. There's no, in my opinion, the government should not have any ability to tell somebody what they can do to their body or can't do to their body. It's not their right. It comes down to us. We all need to do our response, be responsible about our health, learn, grow, get the understanding of what we're doing, and then protect your health. Because everybody's asking, why are there so many sick people walking around? And when you really look at why, it's not too hard to figure out. So remember, don't get drugged, get nourished. It's a beautiful way to go. So thank you all for tuning in. Denny and I appreciate it. And many blessings to everybody. Peace.